With me is iconic homeopathy director, Dr. Batra. Dr. Batra Clinics are famous all over India and abroad too. Dr. Batra, the first question I have in mind is, how do you put up with the extraordinary scrutiny of being an homeopathy doctor?
You just spoke about director instead of doctor. So, this is what comes naturally to you because you do film stories and you now come to a doctor. So, the word director comes out automatically. So, I think for me also, I think this is very similar because uh, medicine is in my blood. My father was a doctor, my wife is a doctor, my son is a doctor. So, we are generations of homeopaths in the family. And so I don't believe that there's any scrutiny in what I do. I just believe that I need to reach out to people, help them wherever I can. And I don't think of it as a pressure. The Gita has taught us always that, you know, just do your job and don't worry about the results. And I think we treat patients from the heart, we treat them with good intentions, we treat them with a lot of love and care. And we use the best information that we have and the best ability that we have and the best skill that I have to treat people and heal them. And God is kind and, He blesses us. They say the science of medicine is the art of healing. So I think that comes through. And so there's no pressure on results really. I mean, it's not, like a box office film where everything has to bomb on every Friday. So, God sits in the box office every Friday for you guys. But for us, it's even worse actually because for a doctor, a doctor is as good or as bad as his present patient. The last patient and the previous patients don't matter. So it's not about how many thousands of patients you treated, but it's really about whether you can treat me or not. So to that extent, yes, there is a pressure. But again, I think if you just leave everything into the hands of God and you do your best, not worry about the results, but actually use your experience to bring, great results for everybody that you meet and everybody that you touch, whether you can heal them. I think that's good enough. So I mean, there's no pressure. On the contrary, there's a lot of joy, I would say. I mean, I've never felt pressurized by my profession. I've always felt great joy. Like, I tell politicians, for example, I said, God has put you in a position of power. And when you're in a position of power, you can help people. That's why you're in power. So God has made me a doctor so that I can heal people. And I find a lot of joy and happiness in it. I don't find any pressure in it.
One thing, Dr. Batra, I have in mind is doctors do such a thankless job in India, at least. Patients always have very high expectations, and if you deliver, they just go back home quiet and celebrate or something. But if you don't meet their high expectations, all hell breaks loose. So, how do you deal with that kind of a situation?
So I agree with you, Tarun, and I think that over a period of time, lots of things have changed in the medical profession. Many years ago, I'm talking about many moons ago actually, uh, a doctor was on a pedestal. I mean, he was like a god, and people said, he was revered because of the kind of good work that he did. Today, it's looked upon as a commercial activity, and therefore there has been a kind of a fall in grace, if I may use that word, as far as medicine is concerned. Having said that, people are still grateful. And unfortunately, medicine is like religion, if I may use that analogy again, because what happens in religion? Why do you think of God? You remember God when you're in trouble. दुख में सब सिमरन करे, दुख में सुख में करे ना कोई, right? That's the Kabir Dua, and that's so true. That when we are in trouble, we go to temples, we go to mosques, we go to churches, and then we want to pray to God and we want to ask favors. So we're really bartering with God every time we're actually praying, and we are expecting something. I think it's very similar with medicine as well, very similar with doctors. So we really go to doctors when we are in trouble, when we are not well, and when we are in pain. And the moment we are pain-free and we are trouble-free, we don't really remember them. So I do believe that, I think that's the nature of the beast. That's how the profession is. I'm saying the profession is like that you only think of a doctor. Unfortunately, because preventive medicine is not very common in India, unlike abroad, where you do go to your doctor for preventive medicine. Here it's always reactive. Medicine is reactive. It's not proactive. So you only go when you're sick. And obviously, when the sickness goes away, you forget the doctor and you start leading your life. So I think it's just the nature of the beast. Is just I think a normal thing to do, and I don't think doctors or medical people should really get affected by it. I think you should just be thankful and grateful that you've been able to change somebody's life for the better, and then they carry on that goodwill as your ambassadors wherever they go. And then they have that peace of mind that, okay, Dr. Batra treated me, made me all right, or Dr. XYZ treated me, I became all right. And therefore, I'm now living my life without pain and, with happiness. And so they're carrying on that goodwill for you when they go ahead. And I think naturally, whenever they meet people, then they do talk about you very happily and with a lot of conviction and care. And I think that's really the best present for a doctor. The best present for a doctor is the happiness that a patient goes through. And the kind of word of mouth that he spreads or she spreads for other people around him or her.
Dr. Batra, there are two reasons why you shouldn't be speaking a lot, writing books. One, because you're a doctor. Second, you're an entrepreneur. In India, neither doctors talk to the camera, nor do they write articles and books. And I mean, both of the professions are known to be sort of camera shy. They just don't speak up. What makes you do that? What kind of a courage? How do you come up with that courage to be subject to the scrutiny that is around you?
I think a lot of that happens from self-belief. And I think if you believe in yourself and if you're very confident about whatever you do and you think that you're doing the right things, I don't think you should really worry about what people think and, or any scrutiny. So it really never bothers me because I do things from the heart. I do it with a good feeling. And I believe that whatever I've learned in my life, I should share with other people. So I share I have no medical secrets, for example. So I put them in my books and I write books regularly so that I can share my 50 years of experience with other people so that they can benefit. Doctors can read it, normal people can read it, housewives can read it, they can follow it and benefit from my experience. I'm very happy to do it because ultimately what happens, knowledge just dies with you. And this is what happens in medicine. In any profession, people are so good in their profession, but they don't share with other people. And therefore, when you die, it just, it gets cremated with you or it gets buried with you. So you're really not helping the world. You're just helping yourself for the period of time that you're alive. And I think if you really want to leave a legacy behind, the best thing to do is to share. You've got to share your knowledge. You have to share, your wisdom. And with as many people as you can reach out to, you should be doing it. So I wrote my first book in 1982 when I was a very, very busy doctor. And after that, I've now written 9 books. For some time, I didn't find the time to do it because I had too much of practice. I used to see 325 patients every day. Now when I find the time a little bit, I think I kind of stick back, and then I've again written a few books. I now write 1 book every year and I publish it, with some well-known publishing house. And they're happy to have my book because ultimately I think it's you want to reach out to more people. And similarly, when I wrote my biography with HarperCollins, it was again to let people know that the mistakes that I made, they don't need to make. Whether it was as a living person or whether it was as an entrepreneur or just as an ordinary citizen, what are the things that challenged me and how did I overcome them, if at all, and what are the failures that I had. So I share them with people so that they don't make the same mistakes. And I think that's also one question that people ask me very often. They say, you built up all this, aren't you worried? What happens if something goes wrong and it comes down again? I always tell them, now I know how to grow. So I can always do it faster than what I did earlier. So if it earlier took me 20 years to build something, or it's taken me 40 years to build a brand, now I know I can do it in 40 months. So it's much easier now because now you know the way. So I think sharing is caring, and one should never worry about the results. One should just keep doing work and reach out to as many people as possible. And I think I don't think it's about shyness or about being camera. I think it's about conserving knowledge, and it's about not sharing. I think it's really about keeping things to yourself. कि अगर मैं और किसी को बताऊँ वो मेरे से ज़्यादा बड़ा हो जाएगा, अगर मैं अपनी सीक्रेट बता दूंगा किसी को तो वो भी प्रैक्टिस ऐसे शुरू कर देगा. I've never had all that. We have no coding, for example, in all our clinics. All my doctors know whichever prescription that I use so that they can use it to help people. So it could easily be coded like a lot of other doctors do. All the names are given, the names are shared with patients as well if they want to know. Everything is computerized. So that's how it is. That's how I believe that medicine should be. And I believe that there are no secrecies. If you really want to, the best way to give off yourself is to actually share your knowledge with people.
Dr. Batra, one of the things that I came across in your books, I was reading your book, and what I realized is it took you a long time to to build your practice and be a name to reckon with. It has been basically a patient life. So to say now, when we look back in those years and you think about that, what you were at that time, were you bitter at the lack of opportunities at any time? Like, did you feel that this is things are not as good as they should be, and there should be more reward for merit? This is also interesting to the viewers, I think, because see, what the viewer, what the first at a first glance, you come from a family of doctors, so you shouldn't have had to go through a slow grind, but you did. So any such thoughts from those days?
So first of all, I like your question because there's a pun on the word patient. So, yes, we all depend on patients, and yes, we have to be patient as well. That's very true. I think because I settled on my own and I wanted to have my own identity, if I may use that word, which is why it was a big struggle. And there was no recognition for homeopathy as a category as well, as a profession, when I started in 1974. So, yes, there were challenges, but I don't think I was ever bitter. If I was bitter, then that bitterness would have stayed within me, because I've never been bitter. I always thought of it as an opportunity, and I thought I should overcome that. Yes, there were many challenges. There were challenges of finance, there was challenge of social recognition, there were emotional challenges, there were time challenges of, working so hard, working through seeing patients through multiple cities, also through multiple countries, So every Monday to Friday seeing patients in, say, Bombay, then weekend seeing patients in Mauritius or in London or in Delhi or in Bangalore. So there were all kinds of challenges. But I think, when you have a will, like I said, when you have a passion, and I always also say this, there are 2 P's, which I believe are very important for entrepreneurship and also for professionals, and anybody who wants to succeed in life. So one of them is, of course, passion, and we all know that. But the second one is, if you add purpose to passion, then it becomes very meaningful. Then what you do it with a drive. You do it with something which is, coming from your heart. So my passion has always been to have a Bimari Mukt Bharat. My passion has been to take homeopathy to the world. My passion has been that a great system of homeopathy should not be restricted only to human beings. It should also be shared with animals, because just because they can't speak doesn't mean that you should cut them and beat them, and why don't you use nice sweet pills for them, and they can get all right for a lot of problems that they have through homeopathy. Today it's also used in plants as well. So basically extend the goodness of homeopathy to wherever I can. So because I have that passion, and I do it with the purpose of promoting homeopathy, my system of medicine, not myself. So even when I talk to media, I talk to people, I'm not doing it for myself. I think I'm famous enough. I don't need to, come on to camera or anything like that. I don't do it for that reason. I do it for my science. I do it for my category. I do it because I want to heal people. I want humanity to benefit, and that's the purpose behind whatever I do. And because there's a purpose behind it, I succeed.
So, Dr. Batra, one of the things that you are known for is your deep interest in entertainment industry as well. You're seen being endorsed, or you're seen being, apart from being hobnobbed by movie stars. I also felt that your involvement is very meaningful because you also developed a play, and it was one of the few plays on entrepreneurship. And I was very struck by the choice. When I came to know about the play, I said, oh yeah, there should be plays that talks about entrepreneurship, because that may be a revolution to put India into another league. So what brings you to entertainment industry once in a while, or what are your ties?
So actually I have no ties, and I have no professional commitment to anybody in the industry. Most of them have been my patients at some time or the other, and I've helped them out with something or the other, which were they associated with me, and I keep my associations for a very long time. I'm saying just because you don't need me today doesn't mean that you're not my friend. I mean, you will be my friend, and I maintain that, and I keep that in all my relationships. So I've had people from the film industry, for example, coming to me from 1974-75 onwards. Now even today they are my friends. And that's how the whole thing started. And and now today the next generation is also my friend, so I have a relationship with them as well. So I think a lot of it is just because of relationship building. A lot of it is not at all commercial, because I have no company that deals with entertainment, for example. I don't make movies for entertainment, but I have associations with everybody, because of I've had also Hollywood producers coming to me for treatment. I've had some stars internationally coming for treatment. I've had almost every Indian star coming for treatment. I've had even people like Mehndi Hasan, Ghulam Ali coming to me for treatment from Pakistan as well. You know, so I've been blessed to reach out to as many people as I can, whether they are Lata Mangeshkar or Asha Bhosle or any other singer that you name in India. At some stage or the other, they or their family have been my patients. So I'm associated with them in a personal capacity and in a professional capacity, but there's no commercial association at all that I have. And that you mentioned about the play, that was really incidental, because I written a book. It was a bestseller, and I wanted to kind of reach out in a theoretical manner. And I'm also artistic by temperament, so I want to just keep experimenting. I find that it keeps me young, it keeps me motivated, and anything new that I do in life, I enjoy it very much, because it gives me a thrill. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I'm a vegetarian, I don't eat meat. So I have no other interest in life. What other people think, what they get highs in life. My high in life comes from my work. It comes from my passion of reaching out to people, from meeting people, and from helping people. So, and of course from the creative work that I do, whether it's photography. My international photographic exhibition is now going to be held in Dubai on the 5th of July. It's being sponsored by the government of Dubai. The art and culture department is hosting it over there. It's taken 2 years in the making. I've had 52 international exhibitions. I've been invited by the Australian government to shoot 16,000 wildflowers for them. So I collected money, and I donated it to the Australian Red Cross for the wildflowers that they had just before COVID. I was a state guest for 9 days by the Western Australian government. So I do photography, but again I do it for charity. I do it with a purpose. Whatever money I collect, all of it, including framing, everything else, I don't minus anything. All of it goes to a visually blind school and to visually challenged children. So it's for a purpose. Similarly, when I sing on stage every year, I sing live for almost 2 hours non-stop. I'm doing it for an old age home, which I've been supporting for the last 40 years. So all my passions are with a purpose. And that's why I kind of try to excel in them, because I feel that if I can do better in this, more people will be helped. And therefore I do more years. Therefore I learn more about photography. That's why I try to keep improving my skills, so that I can benefit more people. And similarly, so the play was an experiment. I said, why not, a friend of mine, Om Katare, who's been 44 years in the industry and a very renowned, a play person, a theatre person, he said, well, we had a chat. He said, okay, let me try. It's very difficult because nobody's done a biography before, and nobody's done a living biography. So we do biographies of people when they die, because no matter how bad a person is, once they're dead, everybody talks good about him. But in real life, when they're alive, we don't actually do biographies, not in Indian culture at all. And he was very game to actually take up the challenge. And it's very difficult to do a biography also, because in theatre, because, how do you... So then we came up with the idea of multimedia. We recreated, the war in Burma, the World War II. We recreated the partition. We recreated my childhood in Agra and in Lucknow. So we recreated all of that through imaging. So it was a multimedia thing, because it's difficult to do it just in one play, static on one stage. So we tried to do that, and luckily we've had 5 houseful shows. Also in Delhi as well. We just had a houseful show in Delhi a few months ago, on 10th of April actually, and that was also houseful. We had about 600 people there. So it's been very well received. But unfortunately now that needs a lot of finance, because there are 28 actors on stage, there are 100 characters, otherwise there are 5 multimedia screens, LED screens. So we can't afford to keep doing it all the time. So somewhere we have to now draw a line, and unless we get some sponsors to carry it forward. But again, the idea there was really not about entrepreneurship. The idea there was about inspiration. So it was just an inspirational story, that if you look at that story, you say, okay, fine, this is somebody who's come up from the rank, and therefore if he can do it, I can do it as well. And if he can do it, I can do it better. Because today the opportunities for growth are far more than the opportunities for growth that we had during my time. Yeah. That time it was nothing at all. So, and today, India is shining a light to the world. It's an emergent India, which we have seen. And it's now soon going to be a developed country, from moving from a developing country to being a developed country. So when we are talking like this, the opportunities therefore today are much more. And therefore when you see a play like that, or when you read a story like that, you say all this happened with no opportunity or very little opportunity. Now with so much of opportunity, I'm sure I can do better. So I think it's inspirational. So the whole idea of the whole play was inspirational. I mean, somewhere, because it was at Prithvi Theatre, I even changed the name of the actor. I mean, the lead actor, so that people should not think that it's not a PR job. It's not I'm promoting myself, but it's just a story of somebody who's been an entrepreneur, who's tried hard and succeeded and overcome all the failures, so that other people can watch and get inspired.
One of the things that that strikes me about your clinics is that now it last 4 5 years we have seen this venture capital boom, where people start their branches of whatever they have across the country very fast, and they close on very fast as well. But you did all of these things before. I mean, it was not so common when you started this kind of a trend. So, any one moment you recall from when you started off with this idea that I should have more than one branch, and there should be lots of branches, there should be lot of centers for Dr. Batra Clinic. Anything that triggered that you remember?
Not really. A lot of things that have happened in my life have been opportunities that came my way and I took them, and a lot of them happened because of challenges. So, first of all, just to answer your question, before going into the branches and the growth of Dr. Batra's, the basic thing is that we don't have any funding. Okay, now we are a zero debt company. Okay, in between we were. So I've always believed in going through internal accruals. All right. So we have no partners in the business. All right. And so whatever we earn, we put back into the business. We don't take out money from the company. It keeps going into the growth. And it's self-funded growth. So we're actually a bootstrapped company, which started as a bootstrapped company with actually no finance, nothing at all. With whatever little money I had, put it back again, and then grew from there. And that makes it very sustainable. That makes it, unless sometimes when it's somebody else's money, you tend to easily spend it. When it's your own money, you're very careful about what you do. So I think that's the one thing that I did. Of course, it's slow because it burns slowly. Yeah. But also when I started, I think the biggest challenge was that I had to borrow money. There was nobody who was willing to give me a loan, no bank, because medicine was not recognized as an industry. Homeopathy was not recognized as an industry. So ultimately from a private bank, small bank, Bombay Mercantile Bank, they gave me a loan for the property. But then I wanted to buy computers, I wanted to do up my clinic nicely, and I wouldn't get loans. So I had to borrow money from friends at that time, and that was at 63%, 36% interest. And my practice at that time was only 25,000 rupees a month, which was very good at that time, in the 80s, 82. But I had to repay every month 63,000 rupees to break even. So that's a 3 times jump that I had to take, and that again because I had belief in myself, and it actually happened. But it then took me 10 years to repay my loans. So which is why I decided not to borrow, go slow. So it's like, the model that we had was that in a year that we do well, we open 10 new branches. In a year that we don't do well, we open 1 new branch. It's like that. So when you have, it's like, again, because you're from the industry, so I'll give you an analogy. It's very similar to the Raj Kapoor model. So the Raj Kapoor model was, if a film did very well, he went into the next film. If the film flopped, then for 3-4 years there was no film coming out. So that's really the model that we also follow. It's a model of internal accruals, that you earn money and you spend it back into the business and you grow it from there. And if you don't do so well, then you just hold back. That's all. You just pause for a bit, and when happy times come, then you again grow and you multiply. It's simple as that.
It looks like we can have a very endlessly long interview with Dr. Batra. He is quite a talker that he is, and I think we leave it at that with some last words from you. Dr. Batra, any last words as we wrap up?
Well, first of all, as a doctor, I would say that what people believe is that they want to be governed and they want to be disciplined. But medicine is all about self-discipline. And you saw that during COVID time, that you don't want to tell people what to do, they should know what to do about their health. And unfortunately, health is always like an accident. You always think it'll happen to somebody else until it actually happens. But you take it for granted. So if you really have to be healthy, you have to self-govern. You have to have discipline. and you have to take care of your health. So the right kind of food, the right sleeping well, eating well, exercising well, whatever it is, the basic level of exercise are things that will keep you. And of course, very good, happy, positive thoughts are very, very important. And I think on a personal level and on a spiritual level, I would also always say that when you are connected with the divine, whoever that divine is, you then never worry, because your life is going around in a manner which is being governed by the control is coming from above. And you know that whatever he or she does will always do it for your benefit and for the good of you, and through you you're able to reach out to humanity, because you're brought into this world for a purpose, and that purpose is governed by whoever is your creator. So when you feel like that, then you have a kind of a philosophy of attachment with detachment. You're very attached to everything and yet you're detached. So you have no sense of ownership. I mean, even in my company, everything is trusteeship. There's no ownership. So we are holding everything in trust for other people. We are holding good health for our patients. We are holding a company for generations to come, so that they could benefit from it. So everything is, we have to think like that of course, live in the moment, but whatever you do it with such a strong purpose and such a strong will that you're going to be able to impact people to come and the generation to come.
So, Dr. Batra, thanks a lot for being with us. You just mentioned COVID for a bit, and I just realized that doctors have put their neck on line during the pandemic. They sacrificed their lives for our well-being, and that goes on to prove how thankful we must be to the medical fraternity, to medical technology, and to doctors and nurses. So, thanks a lot, and that's it. Next time again.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time, and hello to everybody. Take care, stay healthy, stay happy, stay blessed. Thank you.